Welcome back to the Building Leadership Community Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Dora Mendez. Today, we're bringing you a special encore presentation from our archives, a conversation from season 2 that feels relevant now more than ever. As we watch the intensity of the NBA playoffs and see elite athletes, coaches compete on the world stage, we're reminded that championships are rarely won by talent alone. If you follow the show and you follow me, you know that I am a native New Yorker. So I could not do an episode about the Knicks winning the NBA championship. Teams that rise to the top are the ones that communicate effectively, trust one another, embrace their roles, and stay committed to shared vision. The same is true with leadership. Whether you're leading a business, a nonprofit, a school, a community organization, or simply leading yourself through your next chapter, success depends on many of the same principles that drive winning teams: resilience, teamwork, adaptability, service, and the willingness to keep going. That's why I'm so excited to revisit this powerful conversation with Angela R. Lewis. Angela is a former professional basketball player, championship-winning coach, author, and head of operations at Speaker Hub, a global platform that helps leaders expand their visibility and impact. Throughout her career, she has coached and mentored hundreds of athletes, empowered young women through sports, and built leadership communities across education, nonprofits, and entrepreneurial spaces. What I love most about Angela's perspective is that she doesn't see leadership as a title. She sees it as influence. She believes leadership begins with curiosity, grows through service, and is strengthened when we're willing to step into opportunities before we feel completely ready. In this episode, Angela shares how basketball opened the doors that transformed her life, why community begins with serving others, and how the lessons learned on the court continue to shape her approach to leadership today. We also explore what it means to lead without waiting for permission, why taking risks create growth, and how every one of us has the ability to influence others in a positive and meaningful way. Whether you're a coach, entrepreneur, executive, educator, athlete, nonprofit leader, or someone looking to strengthen your leadership skills, there is a wisdom in the conversation for you. Roll credits. Hello, and welcome to Building Leadership Community Podcast. I'm your host, Dora Mendez. I am the founder and CEO of Coach Dora LLC. Our guests will be entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders that drive social impact. It can be lonely at the top, but it doesn't have to be. If you're ready to build stronger teams, lead with greater confidence, and create meaningful community through service, you're in the right place. Before we dive into the interview, we have some powerful resources to share with you today to transform your leadership by learning how to coach. Coaching is something that most people think is really exclusive. It's something that's just for executives. But really, we believe that it's something that should be accessible to everyone. So we designed a course. If you've been feeling pressure of expensive leadership programs, courses that can run close to $1,000 per credit, you're not alone. I hear from so many professionals who want to grow, lead with confidence, and make an impact, but the price tag and time commitment make it feel out of reach. We believe that coaching should be accessible. That's exactly why I created Transform Your Leadership, an exclusive growth mindset coaching course designed to give you true leadership breakthroughs without the hefty price tag. For only $97, you'll get to receive access to a program that delivers real transformation. In as little as 5 hours, a self-paced video course, you'll get traditional leadership program information, a workbook, and a handy AI prompt sheet. And at the end, you'll get a certificate of completion so you can show off your professional development and your accomplishments. So this normally takes weeks, and we intentionally build a practical, efficient, and deeply impactful course inside the experience. So you'll get these tools and framework in our coaching program that will help you lead with clarity, communicate with confidence, and step into your next level of influence without sacrificing your time or your budget. If you're ready to become the leader people trust and follow, this is your moment. The link is in the description. You can get it on our website in our courses tab, CoachDoraMendez.com. Leadership transformation is right there for you. We'll have a link to our resources here in the description. And if you're new to our channel, we're so glad you're here. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to this Building Leadership Community podcast. Click on that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, be sure to follow the show. Share this episode with someone who could benefit from these leadership insights today. Now, let's revisit this inspiring conversation with Angela R. Lewis.
Dora, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for that introduction. That was really, really kind of you.
I meant it genuinely. I'm so blown away that you agreed to be on our little show. And I wanted to ask you if you could begin. We always ask every guest to begin by sharing their leadership story, their career trajectory.
Sure. So my leadership story encompasses 3 big areas: basketball, education, and then entrepreneurship. So I am 6'1", and I've been this tall since I was 12 years old. And I was really uncomfortable and very unsure of myself. And at a young age, I wasn't very confident by any means. And someone asked me if I could play basketball. It was my first coach, Luther Coyle, asked if I could play on the team. Or what I didn't know is that team was a traveling team. And that team gave me the opportunity to leave St. Louis, Missouri, and go beyond the places that my family had gone. And that ultimately led to me getting an NCAA Division I scholarship and playing professionally in Germany and seeing part of the world. And so after I finished playing, I started working with youth programs and also nonprofits, really opening the doors of access with college tours and after-school programs and entrepreneurship camps. And those entrepreneurship camps, when I was executive director of a nonprofit called Nifty, we ever had these entrepreneurship camps. And that's what really changed my life, because I started to see that there are all these people who are creating the lives that they want, and there are all these different types of businesses that exist. And that led me to publishing books and speaking, which led me to creating an agency. And through that podcast, the PR agency, that led me to Speaker Hub. And now I'm head of operations at Speaker Hub, and I help lead our team of over 30 people who are all based in different parts of the world. So I'm very grateful that basketball opened up the world to me and helped me to meet some unbelievable people.
Thank you for sharing that. It's an incredible journey that you've been on. And I guess I want to just follow up a little bit with Nifty.
Sure.
Because as a young or as a new entrepreneur myself, I could have used something like that when I was younger. And there's so few women of color in C-suite roles in the U.S. So your entrepreneurial spirit and what you learned really, I'm so glad you're putting it to use in terms of sharing with the next generation of leaders. Can you tell us
what advice you would give to the next generation of leaders who are interested in starting a business, or just even asking for that promotion, or are unsure about where to take their career. What advice would you give young women?
I would say stay curious. Follow your curiosity. One of my mentors, when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I asked, like, I don't really know, should I get an MBA? Should I do this? And he said, just follow your curiosity and let that open the doors. And then be willing to have conversations and ask questions about, what do you do? How does it work? And the last thing I would say is go for it. Go for it. I listened to the audiobook Lean In, Sheryl Sandberg, and she said, this stuck with me. She said, when you get a chance to take a seat on a rocket ship, take it. Even if you don't know if you can do the role. Like, I never worked in business operations before in this way with Speaker Hub. And because I had an agency, I had the skill set, but I've never been in a role and managed these many people before. But received the opportunity and took it. So take the opportunities, even if you don't feel like you're ready, because you can learn anything. So just be willing to learn something new and take the opportunities and figure it out once you get there.
I love that. Sort of lead with curiosity, follow curiosity. I just think that that's just great advice. And then I also I want to just elevate what you said about not feeling ready, because oftentimes no one's ever ready.
Never.
You know,
No, because you can't.
I don't think anyone could ever be ready, right? So I just want to elevate that for our listeners and viewers, because if you don't take the chance, this is what my business coach had told me. I'm a coach. I have a coach because I believe in it. You've been a coach, but actually of like a sport. My business coach has said, move with imperfect action.
Yes.
Because as long as you're moving, you're advancing, and you won't know if you're going to succeed or not. You won't know unless you take the chance.
You're absolutely right. Either you're going to learn something or you're going to learn something. So it makes sense to just try. And if you read a job description and you can do everything that's listed, don't apply for that. Apply for something else, because you already know how to do everything.
There's no challenge.
No.
Yes. I love that.
No, take the challenge. Take the risk. Every role I've ever had, I haven't known how to do it. And I think some of it comes from having played sports. And I know what it's like to not be able to make a left-hand layup. But then you practice and you get better, and then eventually you can do it without even thinking. So know that you can grow and learn anything. If there's a role that you want, go after it. Go after the things that you want, even if you don't necessarily know how to do them yet, and trust that you will learn.
So I'm going to transition to our next conversational prompt. So this is Building Leadership Community Podcast, and here I always ask folks what community means to them, and how do you build it? How do you leverage community? Because as our tagline says, it can be lonely at the top, but it doesn't have to be. So can you share? You're a lot of your wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom. Can you share with our listeners and viewers what community means to you?
Community to me means service. Find a place to serve. Find if you are looking for anything, serve and give it away. So if there's someone who's looking, I'll give you a prime example from my life. I moved to Dallas, Texas recently, and my role at Speaker Hub is 100% remote. There is no one else in the US besides me. So I don't have colleagues. And so I need colleagues, and I love sport. And so I found out about an organization called Women in Sports and Events. And I decided to apply to be on the board and to serve in the organization. Now I have friends and colleagues, and I'm, involved in sport. And so now I have community, but it was through service. So find a way to serve, to get your community, and your community can fill your soul.
I love that. Service. Community means service. Soundbite. I love that. Community means service. So I guess I want to elevate that for a second because I serve on a board of a organization called Synergia. Later this season, we'll be interviewing the executive director of that organization, and they help children, in fact, people throughout their lifespan with intellectual disabilities and the developmental disabilities. And that has it's hard, but that has really been rewarding for me. But I have found that people are reluctant to serve. They're reluctant to serve, or so how do we and I have found that sometimes people don't have that sort of like legacy of service, or I mean, I grew up in a my both my parents were of service. My father was in the military. My mother was an activist. So I was going to protest when I was a baby. I mean, like, so
Wow.
I when I got to college and I met people who didn't vote, I didn't understand it. So I was always very civic minded, and I was surprised at how many people, didn't didn't have that connection of like serving. I mean, I grew up and that was all we did. That was all everybody did. So I was shocked that other people didn't have that, like, volunteer, serve, like, so how would you sort of address that? How would you coach that? Because sometimes I had to learn to stop being judgmental because I used to like really judge people and be like, "What's like? I don't understand. Why don't you serve?" And so how do we address that? Because I agree with you. I think community is service, and you need something kind of outside yourselves sometimes to help you're not your job, you're not, just something a little bit outside yourself. So could you share, what would you do? Like if you
Yes.
encounter someone who like just is really like the service part is
Right.
not there.
I would say service looks different for everyone. Because of the life experiences I've had, it makes sense that I would serve in this way. But my mother was never on a board. My mother didn't do anything in the community, but every time someone walked up and asked for change, she would give it to them. The neighbors down the street, we were the house that had the basketball hoop in the backyard. So all the kids were over there playing basketball. Every time there were a group of kids, mom was cooking and making sure all the babies had food to eat. So service is gonna look different. For some people, it's serving your family. I'm a big proponent of take care of the people closest to you first. So you don't I didn't want to be someone out there in the world doing all these things, but the people closest to me don't have access to me. So I think it's important for us to serve, but it's gonna look different and take care of the people right next to you. That's really important.
So I like what you said because it's similar to sort of what I kind of learned, which is I would have people say, "Well, I'm not a leader. I'm not," and leadership looks different. And I was like, "Well, you are. Don't think of yourself. Don't you? It's good to have humility, but don't downplay the fact that here you are with me, here we are doing this thing. You are a leader and have
Yes.
confidence, and I really like that. Service is looks different, and serving in different ways, and sometimes people don't even realize the kind of community they're building, the leadership they're taking, and the service they're doing. So I really appreciate you lifting that up.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Oh,
Go ahead.
when you mentioned leadership, and some people don't feel like leaders, I was like that. I used to think that leadership was a title, the head of this or the president of that. But the truth is, we lead ourselves daily, and we're the most important person that we can lead. And even if someone doesn't have a title, you can still have influence. And ultimately, that's what determines if someone is a good leader or not. If you actually can influence someone's behavior, hopefully in a positive way, then that creates leadership. So we all have it on someone, even if it's not in a professional setting or in the community, but you're leading somebody, yourself, and maybe, hopefully, others as well.
I like that. So leadership isn't a job title.
Not at all.
So I'm gonna, with the few minutes that we have left, can you share with us how people can learn more about you, how they can follow you, what your social media handles are, and we will be sure to put that in the description of this episode so that if you're listening, you don't have to pull the
Great.
car over.
Please be safe. Please be safe.
If you're listening in the car, don't pull the car over, but we will add it in the description so you guys can click. So please share with us.
And so you can find me on LinkedIn, Angela R. Lewis. The R is very important. There are a lot of us out there. So Angela R. Lewis on LinkedIn, AngelaRLewis.com, the Angela R. Lewis on Instagram. So you can find me there. Would love to chat about all things leadership, teamwork, communication.
That's wonderful. So before we wrap up, I just want to share that I'm, again, how grateful we are for you to join us today. And, let's continue building incredible community, one meaningful episode at a time. I know you and I will continue to stay in touch. I ask everyone to continue to follow Building Leadership Community Podcast for more inspiring content, and let's lead together. Thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you, Dora. Thanks for having me.
What a powerful conversation. Angela R. Lewis reminds us that leadership is not reserved for those with titles or positions of authority. Leadership is influence. It's how we serve, how we show up for others, and how we choose to grow through every opportunity and challenge that comes our way. Whether your leadership journey is unfolding in business, education, athletics, nonprofit work, community service, or your personal life, the lessons Angela shared about resilience, teamwork, courage, and community are timeless. Her story is powerful. Her story is a reminder that meaningful impact often begins when we step forward before we feel completely ready. If that conversation inspired you, we would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let us know your biggest takeaway from this episode. What leadership lesson resonated most with you? We read every comment and we will personally reply. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow the Building Leadership Community Podcast so you never miss future conversations with leaders who are making a difference in their organizations and communities. Sharing the episode helps us with that YouTube algorithm and helps us continue growing a community of leaders committed to learning, serving, and creating positive change. To learn more about Angela R. Lewis, connect with her at AngelaRLewis.com and subscribe to her YouTube channel at the Angela R. Lewis for more insight on leadership, personal growth, and creating impact. Thank you for spending time with us today. Keep building stronger leaders, stronger teams, and stronger communities. I'm Coach Dora Mendez, and this is the Building Leadership Community Podcast. Until next time, be well.
You've been listening to Building Leadership Community. Watch on YouTube at Coach Dora M. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube at Coach Dora M. Visit me on the web at CoachDoraMendez.com. Hosted by me, Dora Mendez. Produced by Dora Mendez and Dylan Rogers. Graphics, editing, and sound mixing by Dylan Rogers.